Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I know that this is a Jewish synagogue, and I know that we're celebrating the Jewish Sabbath, but I want to talk about Catholicism for a little bit this evening, because I think it's fascinating. And if you don't think it is, I want to know where you were when they were picking the new pope a couple weeks ago. Did you guys see that process? What the heck was that about? They had black smoke, they had white smoke, and it came out of some sort of magical chimney that I was told they put on top of the Sistine Chapel. And now the new pope is from Chicago. I didn't know they could do that. When the guy talks, I'm expecting to hear an Italian voice, but this guy has like a Midwestern accent. Catholicism is fascinating to me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here, but it is. And I like to poke fun at Catholicism, but not in a disrespectful way. I don't bash other people's religions because I know that our religion has a little bit of flavor. It can get pretty interesting, too. San Antonio, by the way, we do a really good job at interfaith stuff here. There is, every time I go and hang out with a Catholic priest, which we do a lot of interfaith stuff, I like to make bad jokes with the priests. There's an event we do together downtown called Catholics and Jews Celebrate Hanukkah Together. And every time I go to this event, I will find a priest and stand next to them and tell bad jokes. And I found a priest in the bathroom last year, and I walked up to him and I said, "A priest and a rabbi walk into the restroom together." And he didn't think that was funny at all. I thought he would like it. He didn't. Now, Catholicism does something that Judaism doesn't do. They have actual saints. This is fascinating to me. You might not know this, but in order to become a Catholic saint, there are certain criteria that one has to achieve to get the okay from the church, and then you can officially join the Saints Club. The first of which is that you have to have passed away in order to even be considered for sainthood. Which, if you ask me, is kind of a bummer. I mean, you don't even get bragging rights of being a saint because you're already dead. You don't get to call your mom and have her tell you that she's proud of you. You don't even get to see your little candle, your little saint candle available for purchase at H-E-B. Get none of that because you're dead. The second thing that you have to do is that you have to perform not one, but two miracles in order to be eligible for sainthood. But the kicker is that the church requires evidence of miracles attributed to the candidate's intercession after their death. Which, by the way, it's way easier to perform a miracle when you're dead rather than when you're alive. Like, if you had a headache right now, and you prayed to me, you should not do this, but if you did, literally nothing would happen because I'm just a normal guy. But if I'm dead, and you pray to St. Hodson, has a good ring to it, by the way. You pray to St. Hodson, and then your headache if it gets randomly better, then boom, that counts as a miracle on my end. Mazel tov to me. Now, when I was in college, I needed an extra English credit, and I needed a class with a convenient time on Wednesdays. And I found out, this is a true story, there was a really cute girl taking a class entitled Catholic Saints' Lives. So guess who spent the fall semester at Texas State learning about Catholic saints? That's right, yours truly. And what's interesting is that the Catholic Church has been around forever, essentially. So there's a lot of random, and dare I say it, kind of weird saints from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So I thought it would be fun tonight in celebration of this new Chicago-style Pope, to give you 5 of my favorite saints. And these are actually real saints. They are on the books with the Catholic Church. You can look them up if you'd like. All right, you guys want to play along? You really don't have a choice. Here we go. Number 5, Saint Drogo. I love this guy. According to the church, he is the patron saint of unattractive people and coffee. I really resonate with this guy. He's like the everyman of saints. He's ugly, but caffeinated. I love that. Number 4, Saint Fiacre. He was a gardener whose medicinal plants led him to be declared the patron saint, this is totally real, by the way, the patron saint of hemorrhoid sufferers. Wow. I don't want to know what kind of miracle he did. Number 3, Saint Columba. He banished the monster from Loch Ness, which was pretty easy to do because scientists have confirmed that there was never a monster in Loch Ness. Saint Columba. Number 2, I also love her. She's called Saint Christina the Astonishing. And she supposedly died, then came back to life at her own funeral and flew into the rafters and just started talking smack about everyone at her funeral. That is a pretty astonishing funeral, Christina. I got to give you that. I wouldn't want to be the guy officiating at that funeral. I'll tell you that much. This is my favorite guy. Number 1, Saint Anthony of Padua once tried preaching to a group of people, but they all ignored him. So according to legend, this is great, he went to a local pond and just started preaching to a group of fish who were supposedly very attentive to his sermon. I love that. You don't want to listen to my sermon? Fine, I'll just talk to Nemo and Dory over here. As someone who has given sermons where people just tune me out, my new threat here at Agudas Achim is that if you don't listen, I'm just going to drive to Canyon Lake and give my drasha to some bass or some catfish. That'll show you. Now, I know that Catholic saints are a lot of fun to talk about, but this is a shul. So before I get into too much trouble here, I should probably pivot and talk about the Parsha for the week. This week we read Parshat Emor, a Torah portion filled with laws directed toward the Kohanim, the priests, those tasked with maintaining the sacred order of the tabernacle and later the temple. The laws talked about in this Parsha are detailed, even restrictive. The Kohanim are told who they can marry, how they can become impure through contact with corpses, and how they must maintain physical wholeness to serve in the temple. Now, if you read the Parsha carefully, there is an unmistakable theme in it. Holiness requires boundaries. Through these laws and statutes, the Torah creates fences around the holiness of the priesthood. It does not leave sanctity to the crazy or the chaotic. The Torah advocates there is a divine order in the priesthood, and holiness is accessed not through some ecstatic frenzy, but rather through discipline, structure, and intentionality. This, by the way, is the exact opposite of the theology of the Catholic saint tradition, which I spoke about earlier. Friends, I didn't get to some of the really flavorful saints. There are even more fanatic ones than the ones I spoke about a moment ago. There are saints who lived on top of pillars, saints who refused to bathe, saints who spoke to animals, saints who experienced painful visions. And the point that the church makes by canonizing them is that these saints are holy because they transgressed these social norms in the name of a supposed higher spiritual calling. I think these weird saints, as I will call them, I think they challenge humanity with the question, is holiness available to the average Joe, or can it only be accessed by the fanatic? Well, this is obviously one of the many instances where Judaism and Catholicism diverge. Just last week in Parshat Kedoshim, the Torah states, Kedoshim tehiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem, you shall be holy, for I, Adonai your God, am holy. This verse is not just directed at the Kohanim or the priests alone. It's not reserved for prophets or scholars or spiritual elites. It's specifically addressed to Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael, the entire Jewish people. This means it's for every man, woman, and child, every farmer, teacher, merchant, mother, and shepherd. It means that holiness is not just reserved for the extraordinary. It is available for everyone. I want to conclude this sermon with a quote from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. He was a conservative rabbi who once walked arm in arm with Dr. Martin Luther King in the marches on Selma. He wrote, quote, "The road to holiness is not by climbing the ladder of spiritual perfection, but by doing the ordinary deeds of life in an extraordinary way." Now, what does this mean? I think it means that a person doesn't become holy all at once like a saint theoretically does. We become holy through our actions and through our boundaries. We become holy through conscious choices day by day. According to Judaism, one simple act, even something as minor as lighting Shabbat candles or welcoming the stranger or choosing not to gossip, these can lead to holiness when done with intention and reverence. Friends, I don't think God wants us to banish pretend sea monsters. I don't think that God wants us to come back from the dead and fly around. I don't think we need to do that to be holy. I think we only need to be the best versions of ourselves to be right with the divine. Well, in conclusion, I hope you had a little bit of fun with this sermon. I know I did. And you know what? If you didn't like the sermon, that's okay, because I'll just go and preach to the fish instead. Shabbat Shalom.